today I'll be looking at social media and the youth ministry. And so pretty much what I will be looking at, you can go to the next slide for me. So today what I'll be looking at is a definition of what social media is, also looking at the various platforms that are available, some of the pros and cons of social media, and then go into leveraging social media as a youth ministry. So when we're talking about leveraging social media, we're looking at how we can use social media to our advantage in terms of spreading the gospel and just spreading the good news that, hey, you can be a Christian and still, be in the know and be with whatever is happening. All right. So when we look at a definition of social media, so when we think of social media, what words come to mind for you? Anybody? You can just shout it out. Repeat that? Okay. Anything else? Okay. Anything else? Anybody? All right. So when we're talking about social media, we're talking about, in essence, the interaction that we have using the online platforms, using the virtual space, using the internet. So we're talking about connectivity. We're talking about bringing people together in a virtual space. So rather than having meetings face-to-face, we're now having meetings and building communities and stuff online using the virtual platform, right? So the definition, a formal definition that I found, it stated that the term social media refers to a computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through virtual networks and communities. So social media is internet-based and gives users quick electronic communication of content such as personal information, documents, videos, and photos. All right. So on the next slide, when looking for some stats regarding social media usage, what we found is that the highest percentage of social media users were those between the ages of 18 to 29. And this is a US survey, but I'm sure it's quite representative of the global environment, right? So following those who are 18 to 29, you had those 30 to 49, 78%, 50 to 65, 64%, and 65 and over, 37%. And this was a sample of persons who would have had more, at least one social media platform, all right? Now, if I was supposed to look at statistics previous, or probably about 10 years ago, we'd probably see a different kind of results. Because when social media just came out with Facebook, I call Facebook the OG of social media because that's what it started out with. You would find that social media really was geared towards those who were younger. But as we have now come and evolved into a virtual space or virtual community, you'd find that these stats in terms of the age groups that use social media, that the gaps would be smaller. So now you have persons from 18 right up using social media. I don't know if anybody can relate, but I remember when Facebook just came out, or somewhere close to that, and you would have older persons coming on social media, even family members, and they're sending you a friend request. And that was almost blasphemous because I'm like, this is my space. What are you doing in your 30s and over on social media trying to friend request me? Up to this day, I am not friends with my parents on social media. It is what it is. But now social media has so evolved that now everybody's in the space and you can't get away from it. So we just have to cohabitate, right? Now, when we're looking at the various platforms, next slide, the main ones that we're looking at would be like your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube. Now, there are many others that are out there. However, these are the main ones that we use on a regular basis, right? When we're looking at, the next slide, when we're looking at social media platforms and looking at the pros and cons of using these platforms generally, in terms of the pros, we talk about it being informative. So when you're going on social media, you're able to find out a lot of information, sometimes even before it hits other form of media, like print media and stuff. It enhances creativity. So you find a lot of persons being able to be on social media and express themselves in song, in dance, in poetry, whatever it is. So they're able to freely express themselves and what they do creatively on social media. It creates an avenue for networking. So we find that we meet a lot of people, new people on social media, persons who we would not have met face to face, but now it performs such a global environment where you're able to meet people across the world and really connects people together. It continues lifelong learning. So when you go on social media, there are many new things that we learn every single day, things that we would not have ordinarily learned outside. And it also creates employment opportunities. Many persons can testify that because of their presence on social media, employment opportunities came their way just because of their presence there. Now, if we're looking at the negatives, we're looking at social media being addictive. Now, for the persons who said they were on TikTok, who said they were on TikTok again? Right. No, I don't know if you can relate. But for those who don't know, TikTok is a platform where you can share videos 3 minutes or less. Now, I don't know if you have ever had the experience, you went on TikTok just to watch a one video, and then you realize hours down the line, you're still on TikTok, from in the morning way until in the night. So if we're not careful, we can find ourselves sucked into this whole social media platform and realize that, hey, it's really taking up a lot of my time. Now, social media also creates an avenue for cyberbullying. So persons who would not necessarily have come face to face and bully you are now what we call cyberbullies. So they're online and they're creating the most negative comments. They might not even know you, but they feel that they have a right to comment on your photo, on your videos, whatever it is that you're posting. And you find instances where some persons are even pushed to the point of suicide because of the cyberbullying. It also triggers insecurities. So if you're not assured of who you are and what you are about, when you go onto social media, it can be very easy to be sucked into that place of feeling insecure because you're looking at these persons with these so-called perfect bodies, perfect lives, and everything that is presented almost makes you feel that, hey, you're not achieving anything and you're not anybody because you don't fit into this particular mold that is being presented. And it also can impact interpersonal skills. And this is especially true when it comes to texting and our own basic communication skills. It can become so easy to not have conversations and don't know how to hold conversations with people because all that you know is social media. And you're just there behind the screen, you're probably texting, and even the texting language, you know, is not anything to do with the proper way of communicating. And so it can affect you in that way. Now, we've looked at all of those, the pros and cons, and by no means is that list exhaustive. But now we're looking at how we can use the social media, looking at all the pros and cons to leverage our youth ministry. So the next slide. So we're looking at three things. We're looking at building a brand, building a community, and building interaction and engagement. So as a youth ministry, a youth department, local and otherwise, when we're talking about building a brand, we're looking at how is it that when persons come onto the social media platforms, how is it that they will be able to identify that this platform belongs to the Church of God of Prophecy, whether it's at Life Center, 41 Old Harbor Road, Nugent Street, wherever it is. How is your social media so branded that people will be able to easily recognize that this belongs to this particular church? So when you're looking at things like whether or not you're going to be creating a logo for your platform, whether it is that you're going to be creating a specific design, specific colors that are affiliated with your brand, so specific events, functions, things that you post on social media that is related to your church and your social media platform. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about building the brand. Then we're also looking at building community. How is your social media platform bringing your youths together within your community? How is your social media platform creating a space where persons can come together, have conversations, share ideas, share information, and also grow as a youth ministry? And also, how can you build interaction and engagement? What is it that you're putting on your social media platforms that is allowing your youths and young adults to interact and engage with you virtually, right? Because the truth is, where we are now, we're in a highly virtual environment. And so whether or not we're comfortable with it or not, we just have to just go all in. Because at the end of the day, that's where our young people, that's where our youths, that's where our young adults are. So what is it that we are using? What is it that we are posting to engage our young people? So when we're talking about the engagement, we're talking about videos, we're talking about sermons, we're talking about blogs, we're talking about people sharing their ideas, we're talking about creating discussion forums, we're talking about so many other things that will create an avenue for our youths and young adults to engage with us as a youth ministry. So the next slide. So as we look at those three things in terms of building the community, the engagement, and building the brand, there are some tips that I want you to bear in mind and to also think about. So when you're thinking about your social media for your ministry, the first thing that you're going to look at is, who is my target audience? So for example, if you are in a church where your cohort is generally younger, those who are probably 13 to 18 thereabout, you may find that they will be more on TikTok or Instagram than they would be on a Facebook. So therefore, if you're looking at where am I going to put my social media platform, what platform am I going to use, you'll have to look at that to determine. So would it make sense to create a Facebook account if that's not where your young people are? No, it wouldn't. Because at the end of the day, you would not be reaching your young people. So look at where, conduct a survey, conduct a census, talk to your young people, your young adults, find out where it is that they are virtually, what social media platforms they're using, and see how best you can meet them there. Work within the limits of your resources is the next one. So for those who have a smaller group to work with in terms of managing the social media, it makes no sense that you're on all the various social media platforms. One, you're going to be burnt out trying to manage and navigate content right across all of the platforms. And so what you will find, and I will talk about it a little later, is that you will not be consistent with your posts. So try not to stretch yourself so thin. trying to be everywhere, that you're not meeting your target audience and meeting the needs of the people that you're trying to reach virtually, right? So work with the limits of your resource. If it's you alone managing the social media for your church or for your youth ministry, determine one place, and that's my suggestion. Determine one place where you know the majority of your people are and stick to that until your community of persons who will be able to assist can grow so much that you'll be able to spread to other social media platforms. Now, what content will you post on your social media? Now, they have a thing to say that content is king when it comes to social media. So in other words, if you're on social media and you have no content to post, it makes no sense. Because at the end of the day, people want to come on social media to see what's happening with your youth ministry. What are they doing? What are they about? What's their goals? How is their evangelism? How vibrant is their youth ministry? So when you're looking at what content will you post, think about the kind of activities that you have on a regular basis. So whether it is that generally you only have youth ministry services, look at your services, how often they are held, and look at what kind of content you can get from your youth services. Is it that you can get some videos? Is it that you can probably get some quotes from things that persons have said? Is it that you can get some photos? What kind of content can you get from your services that you will be able to transfer to your social media platform to create that kind of engagement on your platform, right? And how often will you post? And this is important because it will help you also to determine the kind of content that you will do. So if it is that you want to post every week, but you only have youth services once a month, then you know that you may have to shift to just posting once a month. If it is that you know that you're only going to get content to post once a month. Or if it is that the content that you will get from the service will be able to be split so much so that you can get something out of it once a week, then you do that, right? So determine how often you will post. And then consistency is key. There is nothing like being on a social media platform or somebody's platform and you see that the last time that they posted was probably 3 months ago, 4 months ago, a year ago. You have to be consistent. That's the only way you're going to maintain engagement with your youths, your young adults within your youth department. Because at the end of the day, if you're not engaging them, they will be engaged by other things on social media. And that's not what we want. We want them to be able to come to our platform so that they are edified and that they're able to grow spiritually and otherwise through what we post and be able to really navigate that space for them, right? So consistency is key. If it is that you're determining that you're going to be posting once a week, stick to once a week, right? If it is that it's going to be once a month, do the same. But make it so consistent that persons who have, liked, subscribed to your various platforms are able to say, yes, every week at this particular time or around this particular period, I know that I'm going to see something from my youth ministry. And then the last thing, seek help. Now, we all know that social media is a very wide thing to be trying to navigate, right? And many of us might not have the necessary skills or the necessary help or assistance to be able to navigate or manage social media. So where it is that you need help, whether it is that you need some assistance in learning how to navigate the platform, or it is you might need some external help just to manage it, seek help. Because at the end of the day, we cannot ignore our social media. It is where we are at, It's where we're going to need to meet the young people and the young adults. And at the end of the day, we have to determine what is our strategy for our social media going forward. All right? And so I hope that has helped somebody. If there is any question, you can just ask it now, and I will see how best I can answer. Anybody, any question? No questions? All right. So if I was supposed to ask in here, when I was talking about leveraging social media, what were the 3 areas that I mentioned? Anybody can answer? All right, I heard brand. What else? Community. And the other? Yes? All right, so with the last one was building interaction and engagement. So when you're looking at your social media and trying to determine what you're going to do going forward and how you will utilize your social media to impact your youth ministry and the community in which you serve, remember to look at those 3 things. And also remember, seek help. If you don't know, if there are any questions that you have, you can always reach out to me. If I don't know, I can always seek to get the answer for you, or other persons you may know in your community who has knowledge about social media. But let's not leave our social media just a chance, but be consistent. Have your post ready. Look at what it is that you're working with, the resources that you're working with, and let's make our youth ministry social media platforms vibrant and impactful.
Can we give Miss Dahlia a hand clap?